Welcome to Sailing Sersha. I'm Tegan. My parents sold our house, sold their business, and bought a 38-foot Island Spirit catamaran with the goal to travel the world. Only problem is, it needed a complete refit. After 3 years, we are finally ready to set sail. This is Colbin, my husband, Karen, my mum, Denver, my brother, and Robin, my dad. Together we make up Sailing Sersha.
Hello, welcome back to Sailing Sersha. It's been a long time getting to our next video. We apologize for that. We've had so many people that follow us that said, where's your next video? So that makes us feel really good that people are actually waiting to see them. Thank you for that.
We are currently in Brazil. We made it. We thought we weren't going to make it, but we're here and we are currently getting chomped by mosquitoes.
Man size eating mosquitoes.
Oh, you go from one extreme to the other. It's man size, and then there's like
those little tiny nosiums that we've seen people talk about in videos and never realized how terrible they are. They're minute, they're like the size of fleas, but they bite like a monster mosquito.
So if you see any bites on us, we don't have diseases. It's just we get eaten alive when we're sleeping. But anyway, so we are in Brazil. We're in Cabedelo at the moment. We did leave on the 12th of February this year. Got to St. Helena, spent a week in St. Helena, and then headed across to Fernando, and then across to mainland Brazil, Cabedelo. It has been a ride and a half.
Super high highs
And
beautiful things,
very big lows,
and some enormous earth-shattering lows.
but we'll get into that a bit later. To start off our video, it's just the lead up to us getting ready to leave. It was chaotic, to say the least. We thought we were so ready, but I don't think anything actually prepares you enough for.
We had been working for months we knew we had to go this season, so we had been putting months and months of work into the boat and just making sure that all the systems were in place and sorted. We just thought we were so organized until about 3 weeks before the date that we had set to leave. Then the wheels just fell off, and it just, that last 3 weeks is a blur. It
is.
But we got there. We left when we were due to leave. Could have been a mistake in retrospect, because we sailed straight into some horrible storms, which we hadn't foreseen. We had looked at our predict wind, the weather window looked like it was going to be really good.
And everyone told us was...
Yeah, everybody was saying, oh, you're leaving on a perfect weather window.
Only to find out after, when we got to St. Helena and could get some internet, everyone was like, oh yeah, we saw that storm coming. And we were like... Really? Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, so
but
we learned a lot. And I think a lot of the problems that we sailed into were because we were inexperienced and unsure of our boat. But we'll get into all that in another section.
Yeah. But for now, enjoy our provisioning and getting ready to go. It's just a short section, just so you see how busy we were. We are busy defrosting our freezers.
Amazing job. They've been a little neglected.
First start of provisioning. Better get everything ready for stocking up. Colvin's sorting out all the fishing stuff, so that's all ready for when we go. We applied all our stickers to the yacht. Chris is doing some last rig checks.
Sorry.
what you're doing.
And try and look happy whilst doing it. So we are getting our provisioning sorted. Every tin has to have its label removed and marked with Cocky pen to say what it is, because labels tend to have the possibility of bug eggs underneath it. I'm so tired. Cockroach eggs and things, so you never have cardboard or excess paper, so every label has to be taken off the tin, but obviously every tin has to be marked pre-delabeling. And then we've got a whole batch of tins that we've done previously, so that's part of the project tonight, to get all that sorted. Mess on the floor. Let's add to the chaos.
So we've brought out the alcohol to make this whole process a bit more bearable. So we have taken off all of our labels and we've relabeled them on top with a permanent marker. So we've got a lot of coconut cream because we thought maybe when we catch fish,
if we did.
It's dubious, we're unsure.
We've had lots of promises, we need to see actual fish.
We would make coconut rice to have with the fish, or it's just good in coffee or pastas or anything. So we've got lots of coconut cream, we've got a lot of tomato and onion, tomato and mint, all those because we're pretty much going to live on pasta. Got lots of baked beans. That'll be pleasant the next day. Syrup, jams, because we're going to be having bread most days, fresh baked bread. One day we'll get there. We've got pineapple, a lot of tuna. We've got
for when we can't catch any fish.
All the different veggies, so peas and sweet corn and curried veg, sampan beans. We've got a bit of fruit cocktail. So we've got a lot going on. So apart from provisioning from the main stores, Tegan's also been shopping up a storm online, and we found a really nice place that does a lot of herbs and spices. So we've got a lot of sushi rice from the same place, bulgur wheat, herbs, chickpeas, mung beans,
Black beans and butter beans.
Oh, black beans and butter beans, all dried. So that was some more shopping that we've been doing. So just to give you an idea of the space under the seating, we've got 3 containers about this big. Still damp, we'll just give it a little wipe out. There, and another 3 going that way. So it's quite a good amount of meterage of food area to store.
We made 14 ready-made meals that went into the freezer that just made it a little bit easier on tougher days out on the crossing to just defrost a meal and have it ready-made and ready to be eaten. The life raft was secured and strapped down.
Finishing our galley and being so chuffed with how it looked, we decided, and then we went and bought an induction cooker, which we figured is going to end up sitting here next to the stove. And then the power point was a problem, so it's breaking Robin's heart, but he's in the process of chopping into our countertop. We're just going to put a countertop plug in over here, which will actually be, it's a two plug point, which means when we open these doors nicely, we'll be able to take a plug electric point outside, especially if we're charging computers or anything whilst we're working out in the cockpit. So it looks a bit of a disaster right now, but once we've got the plug in, it's going to be very, very handy. One of the jobs we've been putting off, well, just not putting around too, is putting the engine mounting onto the bars, so that when we're doing the crossing, the engine is up off the duck, and we seem to finally have that sorted. We've positioned the table legs there in the place where we think is best suited for the seating. Robin's gluing down the platform that the legs are going to sit on. So this is going to be seeker to the floor. We just didn't feel like we could get enough seeker under the leg. I'll show you why not. So he's decided to put this platform in and then the leg on top of that. That way we've got a big seekered surface onto the floor just to really hold it tight. Look at this level of chaos. We are doing a braai for dinner.
How is it that?
And we've just got back from the shop, so there's quite a bit of provisioning around. Got to get sorted through tonight. There's stuff that we need to get rid of. And one of the main things, when we bought Saoirse, we got a very nice helm that when we got her old original helm was on, but we were given a helm that's all leather clad. And we'd be putting it off with the idea that it was going to be one of the last things we did before we left on our travels. So Robin is busy taking the old one off to put the new one on. So there she is in all her glory. Like we've said in earlier videos, very small things get us very excited nowadays. So very excited. Things are coming together. This was always going to be a sign of us getting ready to leave. So between all the provisioning and this, yes, all the signs are we will be leaving on Saturday, which is 4 days away.
And the last windows going in. This has been one of the most stressful boat jobs we've ever done. It's been the least enjoyed out of everything. And we've probably done about 300 kilometers of walking up and down to the sewing room.
Got a bit of play.
Just to fit, take back to sew, fit, take back to sew, fix. Oh, it's been in and out. This could bring on some tears.
We're not saying goodbye to club members, we're saying goodbye to family. That's what we are here. So, short, sweet, fair winds, Bernie and the Zastrons, some are here, some are there. And yeah, may you have an awesome trip, and I don't know what else to say.
And we're getting ready to go. Engines are on, saying our goodbyes. It's been quite a sad morning. There's lots of tears.
Lots of tears. It's a big day. Finally. No years of planning.
And leaving the dock for the last time. There's buddy boat Vernie in Denver, also getting ready.
Good journey, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
There's Nexus, Wayne following us, Dion on Splash. We're not close enough to see if that's Asti or Nina in front of us. So we've got quite a few people coming out to the mouth to say goodbye. There's Vernie and Denver. They are hoisting their sails.
Thank you very much for control. This is Saoirse standing by, channel 1216. Saoirse out.
3 hours in, we've got seasickness. What happened?
We got taxed by stupid sea. We had it. I don't know what it was. I think there was like a tuna of some sort. It could have been a bonnie or a sada, but
and then we headed off in the direction we were supposed to go, and the first night was lovely. We had set up our watch roster, we got straight into our watches, everybody was confident and really feeling good about everything. The next day it started to get rough.
Started to build the...
Yeah. And we thought, okay, we can do this. Remembering that we don't claim to be very experienced sailors, especially in conditions like that. We have done a lot of sailing in good conditions. So that's when we think, I don't know that it was a mistake, because they say take your boat where you feel safe. And we didn't want, the conditions were that if we had carried on the route Bernie and Denver went, which it was in a mono and they could do fine, if we had done that, we would either have been beating into huge waves or we would be being hit beam on. And we just know that if you're in really bad conditions and you get hit beam on in the wrong position, you can turn your boat over. So we made the executive decision to turn and run with the storm to keep us comfortable, and it wasn't comfortable. I mean, it wasn't an easy route, but it was better than feeling, and it was the worst weather we had been in with Saoirse, so the smashing on the boat, we all just thought, is she going to hold together? The smashing and the creaking and the bending of the boat, it's incredible. You stand in the saloon,
one side bends
as you're going over waves,
way.
And we had read about that, we'd heard about it, we'd seen it in other people's videos, but when you're standing there feeling it,
and you wonder how much bend is
before it's gonna snap.
Yeah.
And you've just got the smashing sound of the waves on the side of the boat, plus the creaking of the bending. We tried to get some of it in the video. I don't know whether it will even show, but so you've got this incredible movement, the noise that's going on, you're just not feeling safe. But that's long story short, we ended up going up the coast. Instead of going straight out into the ocean, Denver and Bernie went on Silhouette, we chose to go up. And it ultimately held us in the storm, because the storm was moving that way. I don't know.
And it was building with us.
Yeah, more experience.
At first, it didn't look as bad on predict wind. It wasn't looking as bad, and then we started getting from the reds to the black colour, and that was going to 50 knots. So
we were getting into 50 knot wind, most of it at night time.
Yeah.
Well, it was 72 hours of hell. Daytimes we could cope because you can see out, so you're watching the waves, you thinking things through, but at nighttime where it's pitch dark and you're just being smashed.
Got so big at night, it was completely the night. As soon as the sun went down, the swells
and the moon came up, the swell came up, and that was the trip all the way across. So that's obviously just a geography thing.
Yeah,
that happens.
But it also turned into a washing machine. The waves were coming from every direction, and having it be at night, it was just
because you'd be smashed from this side, and then within the next minute you're being smashed from the back on the other side.
probably one of the worst nights was the third night. It was the last night of the storm.
The third night of the storm,
Yeah, but from the second night, I had packed our grab bags.
We were convinced we were going to end up in our life raft.
We thought it was better to just actually jump in the water and start swimming because...
It had to be better than being on this boat.
But my dad sat on the helm for the 72 hours. Colbin didn't want to helm. He just said it was too much responsibility. He didn't even want to look outside because it was...
It was tough for us just to look outside because it didn't matter what window you looked out of. We just stayed inside, so you're looking out of windows, and wherever you looked, there was just walls of water around you because it was just coming from every direction. It was like a bad movie.
I think we experienced our own. So we had our grab bags packed, our
food provisions,
we had
passports.
water, passports. We were ready to rumble. We were like, let's get out of here. It's funny now, but back then it was terrible. It was so scary because you can't get off.
Yeah. And
You
it still
just-
makes us want to cry
Yeah.
because there were times that I just thought, stop the world, I want to get off. And then the realization that you can't get off.
You have to
There's
get
nothing
through.
you can do to get out of it. You've got to get through it.
Yeah.
And we were watching Predict Wind, and Predict Wind was saying to us that there was another 3 days of it.
Yeah, just kept coming. But the good thing about Predict Wind in that storm was that you could look at it and each hour was exact. So if you were
So
going to drop
accurate.
3 knots, we partied about us dropping 3 knots of wind because it dropped on the hour. So you could look at the whole day and you see a little patch where it gets a tiny bit better and you just like,
You hold on for that.
You live for that patch. So it was...
And that's when you became such a Predict Wind fundy because Tegan just sat, whilst we were running the boat, Tegan just sat with Predict Wind and she just self-taught herself.
Probably one of the scariest nights of our lives. The wind came up and we were sitting about there. And it was just gusting about 37 knots and probably 30 sustained for the last 6 hours. We are all exhausted.
And at the end of it, I still, even when we calmed down and we had our nice breakfast that Tegan made and everything, I said to Robin, you hear of people who do this and go through a storm and then they just pull into the next anchorage and want to sell their boat. Strangely enough, I never felt like that. I just came through it and I just thought, well, that was rough. I never felt like I didn't want to carry on. So that was good. I think you did.
Surprisingly, I stayed on. We got to St. Helena and I thought, okay, well, we've gotten through that. We can get through the next leg of the crossing.
And it set the benchmark really, really high for bad weather.
And what Saoirse could take.
And so we just
Because
felt
the floors
so...
were jumping about this high in the saloon. The tables were jumping. We thought our cupboards were going to delaminate.
For people who don't
from the
know,
floor.
with a catamaran, you've got the bridge deck. So between your two hulls, you've got the bridge deck, which is a space between the water and the floor. But in that kind of sea, the waves come up from underneath and they just smash underneath. And that's why a lot of monohull people don't want to live in a catamaran because they're not prepared to live with that noise.
I was
and
just
smashing.
sitting, wishing, change us over to a monohull because I couldn't do the noise anymore. It was one of the most terrifying parts of those 3 days of bad weather was no one was sleeping. Everyone was very sleep deprived, and Colbin had just put his head down on his pillow for the first time. He went downstairs to sleep.
Even though Robin was helming, we were constantly awake because we were giving him weather reports
And also the
bringing him
waves-
food and water and everything.
The waves were smashing through. We had our enclosures down.
Yeah.
We had our wave breakers in. We'll show you the wave breakers. The enclosure went past the wave breaker, so it was just incredible how waves were literally smashing from one side of the cockpit completely to the other, wetting the whole ceiling.
They were coming through here, hitting the roof, hitting Robin in the helm seat over there.
And one would hit from this side, and you'd be checking the waves this side, and then one would come from the other side. So it was unbelievable.
And it was flooding the cockpit. So
Yeah.
we were constantly mopping up the water.
And our hatches that we thought were averagely watertight were not watertight enough, and we got so much water in our autopilot compartment.
Yeah, so we were constantly, every time a wave smashed over, we'd have to open the compartment, dry it all up, put it back. Flying up the cockpit. Had a massive wave come through. Even the roof is soaking wet. Oh, it's been 36 hours of this now, and we are all just shattered. Oh, we just don't know when it's gonna end. Robin is just keeping an eye on the waves and trying to keep us in the right route. It's one of those stop the world, I want to hit off situations.
Okay, so this is our wave breakers that we made with lots of fiberglass. We've got reinforcing on the back so it doesn't bend, and these were in like that. Our curtains came down and past the wave breaker to the floor, was fastened down, and those waves still got in somehow. But it was a godsend having these, because the waves that did come up onto the sugar scoop was stopped by the wave breaker. We had a few coming in underneath by this hole, but it really helped us with a lot of the water that was coming in.
I was standing talking to Robin,
and everything
and
went
he goes,
quiet.
"Oh, I don't have any steering."
And it was like 3 seconds of silence, and you just know something has gone wrong. And I ran to the door, and they just say, "Grab Colvin, we've got no steering."
Yeah.
So
I didn't know where to look. Robin was at the helm, and he was losing control of the boat. We were in those big waves, and you've got to keep your boat
huge waves. It was the
not
worst
side
night.
on to the wave. Yeah, it was literally the worst night. And he was saying, I've got no steering, and I'm not quite sure what to do. And so we called Colvin, and he just
The
came up.
autopilot wasn't working.
Yeah, the
and
autopilot
steering
and the
wasn't
steering
working.
both kicked out,
So-
which is so rare.
My dad started the engines and was trying to pivot with
Yeah.
the engines.
In the
but
dark. So you're in the pitch dark, you can't see where the waves are coming from. It's going according to hearing and what's
Yeah.
smashing through the...
There was no moon.
Yeah.
It was just pitch darkness, and I grabbed Colvin's foot downstairs and I said, "Get up, we've got no steering." And he just sat up and he looked
Came
at
up
me
with
and he didn't even know what to do. He just came up and he said, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "We're pretty sure." So
And then he first stood there and he said, "Well, I don't know what to do."
yeah, I can't do this. I can't do this.
And we said, "Colvin, you know where all the steering is. You can be on. You're on top of this." And it, just like that, just
Yeah.
suddenly something kicked in, and he just started opening hatches.
Pulling headboards out, checking the steering.
Yeah, shouting to us what tools we needed. So
We
he
were
needed. So
running.
we were running. Robin was just concentrating on trying to not have us go over.
And while we were doing this, we were sliding down waves.
Yeah. Oh,
Side
it was-
on, just sliding. We were standing and sliding.
Yeah.
And it was just...
I said to them at one stage, I felt like when you see those people in car where they
Drifting.
where they drift cars around corners, that's what the boat was doing down there. And Robin was just trying to keep us from going nose first into the trough, because you can flip, and if you go down the side sideways, you can flip over sideways. All this with no steering. Anyway, it turned out that the arm of the autopilot had detached. The steering had moved across and it had bitten in again, and that's why we had no auto helm or steering. So when Colvin realized
There's no movement.
yeah,
on
there was no
anything.
movement on it at all. So when Colvin realized that, and he started making all the adjustments, and Robin was able to turn the steering again, get it back to where it should be, and he tightened everything. So it might have been, it felt like hours.
But it was about
10
25 minutes.
Do you think it was as long as that?
We got, I think, the hand steering back, and then we started fixing the auto.
Yeah.
But
So all
probably
in
the
all,
worst. That was the worst 25 minutes of the entire journey. Everyone was just shattered after that.
Because we thought then that
We
we done,
prayed.
because
We just...
we've never prayed as much as we prayed that.
I begged, I bargained, I prayed,
It was unbelievable.
yeah.
But I just want to say, as a family, we stood together. We supported each other. We looked after each other by way of food. I mean, Robin was on that helm 72 hours. Maybe 2 hours out of that 72,
Well,
he
we-
was off.
I don't think we ate
Yeah, but
in
you
those
were
72
you were
hours.
like giving Robin snacks.
Yeah, my dad was just getting
He was
chocolates
like,
and
yeah,
nuts.
we were
and
just trying to keep him.
because none of us wanted to eat. It was such a stressful situation. You didn't even think of eating because you just wanted to vomit. So
But he was the only person that we thought he's
sitting-
got to keep
yeah,
going.
he's-
He's keeping
so it
us
was
going.
coffee. It was coffee, tea,
Yeah.
juice, rehydrate, chocolates, anything we could get into him because he didn't want to eat, but
We were just forcing
never
him.
say no to chocolate, that guy. So
So back to being proud of everybody. We would never have coped without Robin just like manning up and just taking it and not insisting that we try. There were a couple of times that he said to me, I'm so tired, I need to lie down for a little bit.
exhausted.
And he would manage to get us onto auto helm because I don't have experience steering in those conditions and you can go wrong so easily. So I would sit up at helm for half an hour or so whilst he just had an absolute power nap and then he was back again. So it was him for the 72 hours, Colbin just getting onto things. It wasn't only
He
the
was
steering, I think there was
monitoring
other stuff.
everything.
Yeah, and he was monitoring stuff. And then Tegan for just watching the weather and keeping us positive.
holding
I don't
the
know how
table
we-
down in the saloon.
and I don't know how she's kept us positive because she was falling apart and I think the real fall aparts came afterwards. When we realized what we had come through.
And the exhaustion.
And I know in this
afterwards.
video we're just gobbling on and on about this, but it was just a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And it did bode well for the rest of the trip because we will show you in another video where we left Fernando to come back and to get to Carbadillo, which was also a nightmare, but not on that scale. And I think if we hadn't, any of the bad weather that we went through after that was always compared to that, and we got through the first one, we're going to get through this. So it had its purpose.
Yeah.
It really did keep us positive for the rest of the trip.
Yeah. And the rest of the trip after those 72 hours was
To
beautiful.
St. Helena was beautiful.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Caught good fish.
Yeah, lots of fish.
Yeah. So the highs were really high, but
The lows were
the lows were very, very low.
hurricane
Hard.
lows.
Hard to explain.
Yeah.
But it made us stronger. It made us all band together
Yeah.
and we got through it. This is the first morning that we actually feel slightly human again. We've had 72 hours of absolute bedlam where we were all convinced we were going to die. Yeah, sadly, that's not even dramatizing how things were. It was just craziness. But we've decided to get life back on track. So Tegan is making us some beer bread. We are going to reward ourselves with an egg and bacon breakfast. I've slowly started picking up the pieces of what's left of the cabin. This is particularly tidy. We've got cushions missing. They've been thrown down into the passages below so that we could have space to sleep up here. None of us have slept in a bed for days. Here's just everything. We've got our grab bags, tool set for our steering repair job. We literally, as we use stuff, it just got left where it was used. So lots of tidying up to do. Wet towels everywhere because we've just been mopping water from all the water that was coming into the cockpit during this time. Colbin is back on helm and looking a lot happier because conditions aren't deathly out there. The waves are still big, but sheesh, after what we've experienced for the last 3 days, this is mild. And then down here we have our trusty helmsman has finally passed out. You can see the headboard is still out of the bed because we were working on steering and checking things down there. He just came in, flopped down and has passed out. He's had almost the full 72 hours on helm because none of us had the courage to be up there facing those waves.
But other than that, we just wanted to give you an update because we did have the Iridium on and my friend, we were emailing my friend, she was updating the social media just to keep everyone updated and the family updated. So we just wanted to get through that and give you our first-hand experience of what happened, and it pretty much takes up this whole video. So from here on we can get into the really nice sailing, the fishing, the St. Helena.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was really lovely.
So yeah.
Swimming with a ray at St. Helena.
Yeah, so we will be more on a positive note in our next video. We just wanted to update everyone.
And the videos will be regular again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just, even though we've been in Carbadillo now for 2 weeks, there's a whole nightmare that goes with that. So, subject for another video.
Okay, so other than that, we are safely in Brazil for our family and friends that we haven't contacted yet because we've been...
We apologize
Yeah.
to people who have been so kind to send us lots of messages.
It's just been a very
concern.
overwhelming time. Trying to sort out everything that had gone wrong with the boat and our MPPT. So, yeah, we're here, we're safe. We're going to carry on with the videos and hopefully carry on with the stream if everything goes right.
Yeah, if we can get everything fixed and sorted.
But yes, so we will have more videos up more regularly. Thank you for watching with us.
There'll
and
be more fun videos too.
yeah,
So
more
please,
positive videos.
please
So-
subscribe and like if you
Yeah.
like it. Share with your friends and family. We really want to try and grow our channel now.
Yeah.
So it would be nice if you could punt us if you have friends or family that might be interested in watching.
But thank you guys and see you next week.